This is episode 11 of Make a Move podcast. I'm very excited to share with you this episode because Elisabeth is sharing incredible knowledge and experiences. We dive deep into the benefits and science of ice bath and breathwork. Elisabeth even shares some specific techniques to fight stress, to fight panic attacks, and to learn how to control yourself in stressful situations in general. Elisabeth is also a cancer survivor, and she decided to fight cancer only with holistic approach. For the past 10 years, she's been studying and experiencing everything we're going to talk about in the next hour. So I introduce to you Elisabeth. All right, we are rolling.
Good morning.
Good morning. Elisabeth, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for your invitation.
Thank you for accepting it. So Elisabeth, you've been doing lots of things. You've been doing ice bath facilitator, meditation facilitator. Is that a thing?
Breathwork. I like to call it breathwork more than meditation. But yes.
And lots of different things. And before we go more into the details of especially like ice bath and breathworks and how beneficial it can be for you, can you just tell me how someone starts such a journey? And you've been doing it for like 10 years, around 10 years. And ice baths are like a trend now, especially in Dubai for like past year, I'm sure anywhere else. But you've been doing it for like 10 years. So how did you even get to something like that?
Well, my holistic journey started 10 years ago. And then everything came a bit progressively. And it came from a background of... I think the first trigger was when I lost my mom from a cancer 15 years ago. And I went to a depression quite delayed, 3-4 years after she passed away. And I didn't really understood why. It came so delayed that, first of all, it was unexpected, and as well as I was really climbing up in the career, in my corporate career at that stage. So it was a big shock, and I didn't have any tools of awareness to actually know how to handle my emotions at that moment and to handle myself. So I went pretty low. Even though from the outside I had pretty much everything to be happy. I was a big manager. I had a very successful career up to that stage. I had a very settled personal life. So really it came quite unexpectedly, and it triggered a lot of different questionings in my life. And that's when really I believe I started this awareness journey more than holistic at that moment. And I started self-questioning myself a lot to understand where all these emotions came from. Moved to Dubai, kept on being in the corporate industry, but at the same time being much more aware to different holistic modalities, and started a sport journey at that stage as well. And that's when I started wakeboard and water sports. And in that environment, I got attuned, and I met a lot of different people that were yoga teachers and holistic oriented, let's say. And that was the real trigger. Was first at the moment where I found a real passion in my life, because I never practiced sport before. And second, when I was around people who helped me to understand myself better and to open me a new world of awareness. And that was 9 years ago when I started as well a journey of holistic energy healing, Reiki. That's the very first thing I got attuned to, first in Dubai, and then I went to travel for a few months, and I went to Thailand. I spent 3 months with a monk that was retired from his monastery and built a holistic school in Thailand. school. I mean, he was offering 3 rooms upstairs his house, and every morning we used to go from teaching and theoretical training about Reiki and how to attune and how to pass on energy healing. And every afternoon we had people from the villages who came for us to practice. I went on a silent retreat from there in Bali. I went to Nepal. I traveled a lot at that moment. I left my corporate career.
So you completely abandoned the job?
Like flipped the table upside down because I was such into a self-inquiry journey. I didn't want to go back to where I was before, and for me it was passionating how I could understand myself better, how I could help others, and it really became a revelation for me that I wanted to support people in their wellness journey, because I guess I wish I had somebody at that moment in my life. So that's where it all started. When I come back from this trip, I wanted to live from it, but of course when you do energy healing, and at that moment it was simply not enough, and I just came out from my corporate career. I didn't have the experience, neither the portfolio, neither anything to actually build anything myself, and very quickly I went back to Bali, and I got an opportunity to become a yoga school manager. So I was managing House of Home, and at that moment it was a dream opportunity for me, because this person gave me the tools to actually live completely my life in Dubai and just start a full-time journey in holistic living in Bali. Wow. So that's when it really was the main switch, let's say, from corporate to holistic life. And I was already attuned to Wim Hof, because I've seen some videos at that moment. Because myself, when I was 15 years back, when I lost my mom, I had a cancer as well. That came back exactly 6 years ago. So at that moment, I was supposed to go through, the first time it was a surgery, and the second time they wanted me to go through therapies and chemotherapies and radiotherapy. And for me, it was simply not an option. I've lived so much with somebody sick for a long time that I promised myself I would never do that process. So
you had cancer as well?
Yeah. And it came back. And the minute it came back, the surgery was not enough anymore. So when it came back, it was going through chemo and radio. And
so you completely refused?
I said no. For me, it was, and still up to now, tomorrow it happens again, I would say no.
What did the doctor say to that?
They told me that at that moment I needed to go through at least a new surgery, which would have removed my ability to have kids completely. I was 33. I didn't want to have that removed from my, at least my choice, you know. Second, if the surgery didn't go well, for sure there was radiotherapy, and then we would evaluate if chemo was needed. And I didn't want that, so I said no. And at that moment was exactly the parallel where I was starting to be attuned with Wim Hof. I think I was getting also a bit more mature in my journey of awareness and meditations and yoga. So I sat with myself at some point and I said, if you really believe in everything you're doing, why don't you try this? Especially Wim Hof, because Wim Hof was a huge part about the strength in you, the self-power, the strengthening of immunity, healing journey. So I gave it a shot, and for 90 days consecutively, I was doing the Wim Hof training. I was doing ice bath, breathwork. I did meditation.
Just by yourself?
Yeah, okay. By myself, and in Bali as well, because it was the proper environment also. Yeah. So it was I just did it, and I just removed completely from my mind this part of hospital treatment and everything, and I just went fully on.
So you didn't even go for checkups and stuff like that?
No, I went later on, 6 months later.
Oh, so for 6 months you didn't even... Wow.
It wasn't. I didn't have lung cancer or brain cancer. I had cancer in the uterus, stage 5.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it was for me. It's like my biggest fear, because I lost my mom from a cancer, and then all of a sudden my biggest fear is coming true because I have cancer.
Yeah.
And I was already so much involved into this process that I was like, if I go through the normal medical way, this is going to be exactly, this is not giving credit to everything I'm trying to learn. And at the same time, I always like to experience things on myself before, you need to have experience, and it always comes from a self journey anyway. So
only
I was
then
like,
you can
let me
teach other
see if
people,
it works. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it's Wim Hof, that it's yoga, or it's breathwork who healed me. I think really the switch was in myself, because even though I was successful in corporate in a lot of different things, I think I was lacking a lot of self-confidence, a lot of autonomy as well, because for a very, very long time I was a spoiled kid, and I never learned to live with myself. So I think that was really the trigger where I learned to be okay with myself. I learned to know myself better. I started to switch a lot of different connections in my brain and into my emotions management and in everything. Plus, of course, I had a much more healthy and healthier life. I stopped smoking. I started to be vegetarian. I was really into, also because being in Bali, you're in the perfect environment to be, of course, surrounded by nature. Like everything was different. So I think this is a whole that just completely, almost as if I'm a brand new person. So. That was the biggest switch, I guess, and it wasn't refusal, but it was just not accepting at all to think that this would be my path. So when I came back a few months later to Dubai, somehow this, because they tell you that you have the ability to heal this in stage 2 or 3. Mine was stage 4, 5, and it was already coming back. So it was quite surprising, but nonetheless, my scan was clear. Yeah. So I just started to feel completely convinced that, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help people to not heal, but to understand how to switch this in a different manner. And that, yes, it has sense to add different tools in your life, so that it's not like life will never happen to you. You will always have a lot of things happening to you, even if you're the healthiest, the most calm person. No, you will still have things coming to challenge you. You got to just understand how to deal with them, so that inside there is no storm of emotions. There is no, because the minute anything inside gets stressed, even if you can avoid feeling it or avoid accepting or avoid anything, it's still there. And I think, repressed so much for such a long time. That's why it came so delayed. That's why it came as my biggest fear. We always tell you, like, your biggest fear might come true if you put too much attention to it. And I think somehow this is what I've done. So that's how I got into all of this, and how I believed it, and how I'm trying to provide people all of these tools who have helped me. So that's why I'm not only a yoga teacher, only a meditation or breathwork or ice bath, because everybody is different. For me, everything has helped me on a physical or mind way. And sometimes you need an ice bath, sometimes you need a yoga practice, sometimes you need to stay still, sit in meditation, sometimes breath work will help you to release. So there is and there is so many other different tools you can use. This is the ones I'm using because they make sense for me, but that's why I'm enjoying everything I do, because they all have a different purpose, or they serve a different emotions or a different moment or a different challenge, and that's how I like to play with them.
That's incredible. So because all of that helped you, now you try to pass it to other people and help them with their stuff. So did you Do you start with ice baths as well in Bali when you did
Yes,
all that?
so I did my own training and I was doing my own practice for about a year when I arrived and lived in Bali. And then in the yoga school, so we were training yoga teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So every month we had 55 new students who would come to the school. And they would have 1 day off per week. And my manager at that moment told me, listen, you're doing this so often. You should do it for the students because in their yoga teacher journey, anyway, they are very sore.
Mm-hmm.
This is becoming, it was 1 year before COVID. It was already starting to get a bit more known as well. So why don't you start to do it as a workshop on a monthly basis for each group that comes? That's how my teaching journey started. And the first time I did it on all my teachers, so I had a team of teachers who were teaching the students every week. Manish, all of the people that some of them are very known as well in Dubai. And I see myself in my first workshop doing it to all my teachers, and I was so scared because I mean I'm doing it for myself, but the moment you have to take the mic and to do it, especially to your teachers, is a different story. But that's how it started, and then every month I was doing 1 or 2 workshops for the yoga students. And then quickly it started to become a thing, and then we started to organize it for Ubud people. Then COVID happened, and then so while Dubai was in COVID, Bali was still not in COVID. Mm-hmm. We were still open, so we were still working quite a lot. But then within 6-7 months, Bali started to close and Dubai to reopen. And at that moment, our school closed. So for me, it was not really an option to stay in Bali because I wanted to first continue teaching. Second, I had no job anymore because the school was closed. And I decided to come back to Dubai and to start teaching in Dubai. And that's when my entire career switched completely fully to be able to live from what I do. Mm-hmm. At that moment, it was post-COVID. Everybody was, of course, very attuned to the breath somehow, because it's a very big part of what I'm doing and what I'm passionate about. Wim Hof as well has become very popular during COVID.
Yeah.
And of course, yoga was already for a very long time, but again, like everybody was in their wellness journey in a different perspective, I think, after COVID. Even corporates as well. Now there is a lot of corporates who are including in their monthly or yearly employees benefits some wellness journeys or wellness workshop and things. So that's how it started, mainly through yoga first, a lot of requests for yoga at the beginning, and then slowly with more ice baths, groups, corporates, breathwork, initiating people to understanding stress, anxiety through breathing. I always like to have an audience of corporates because for me this is really where you can have an impact as well. Mm-hmm. People who are already in their wellness journey, they are attuned to a lot of different things, but people who have completely, and especially consultant, I started with Accenture, a lot of functions that were extremely hardworking and with completely messed up schedules and flights and jet lags and no proper routine and rituals. So it really helps for these people to have few tools that they can have, because yes, you can have a gym in any hotel you go. You can choose to eat a salad, for example, if you can, but if you want. But to really understand how to calm down a panic attack, an anxiety attack when you're in a very stressful environment is something different. Everybody thinks of therapy, but the simplest tool you can use is the breath, and that really made an impact, and that's really something that I enjoy doing as well, and I still do as of now.
Is there any one specific technique you could, if somebody's listening, something very short, very easy, simple that they can do when they're overwhelmed and stressed? Yes,
I mean, there is 2 different techniques I like to give to people when it comes to stress and anxiety. If the panic attack is already there, because the biggest thing in the breath, and when you want to start to relax a bit more, is to lengthen your breath to breathe through your nose and especially lengthen your exhalation. The truth is, when you're in a panic attack situation, it's impossible to lengthen your breath because you're already suffocating. You already have the knives in the chest, and the chest is very tight. So if I'm asking you to exhale longer and to breathe through your nose, it might bring even more stress.
Yeah.
So that's something that you can do when you feel a bit stressed or overwhelmed, but not at the stage of panic attack, is to first close your mouth. Because breathing through the nose will help you to, of course, slower your heart rate, create nitric oxide, which is a very important gas that helps in relaxing the vagus nerve and help to optimize a lot of different functions, and work on the longer exhalation. Inhaling is sympathetic and activate you, and exhaling is really calming you down. So the longer you exhale, the more you're gonna go into a more relaxed state. If you add the nose breathing to this, you have really a tool here that can help you when you feel a bit overwhelmed, whether you're driving to work or coming back from work. This is a very easy breath. You can count it, inhaling maybe in a count of 2, exhaling in a count of 4, 6, 8, as long as you can. That's when you're still in control. When you're not in control anymore and you can feel a panic attack coming, it's impossible to practice this. So the first thing I ask people to do is to practice breath holds, very short breath holds. So you inhale and you just pinch your nose and hold your breath for 5 seconds, and then you let the breath out. You wait 5 breaths and you start again. And you do this for 3 to 5 minutes minimum. It will really help you, because when you're holding your breath, you're putting your body into a proper physical danger. A panic attack is usually a mind overwhelmed, and that's because you're into your thoughts and because you're stressing about everything. You make it as a big thing and you can't stop thinking, and then the body is just going by itself and the mind going by itself. So you want to go back to a present state, and if you need to shock it with a proper danger. So shock it with holding your breath. That will bring you back to presence. That will really help you to catch up with the panic attack and the anxiety. And within 3 to 5 minutes, this is a technique used not only for, let's say, in the yoga scope, but also by athletes. One of the trainings I've done is oxygen advantage. It's for athletes to improve your endurance. And whether it is for yoga or for athletes, we always tell you, if you want to master your breath, you need to master the breath hold. It has a lot of different benefits, functions, challenges, whatever you want to call it. But holding your breath is a very key component in the breath world, let's say. And in the scope of a panic attack and anxiety, it will just help you to again, just ground yourself, put yourself for 5 seconds into a proper physical danger, so the mind has something else to think about as how my life is bad and how I'm in such a bad situation. But all of a sudden you're going back to, there is a proper danger. I'm holding my breath, I'm not breathing. And that usually grounds you back and calm you down within 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah, so that's an emergency breathing technique, let's say.
That's great, thanks. These are actually really good. And this is especially for people who doubt these kind of things, and they say this is like spiritual yoga talk, as you said, because these techniques are used by special forces and police and soldiers, because they actually work.
They actually work, and because if we're talking about any movie you look as well, now I'm very receptive to this, but in any movie where there is a car accident or there is a big trauma, they tell you breathe slowly, or police, special forces, militaries, fighters. These are people who have to deal with emergency situations, and you don't have your yoga mats and you can sit down. And no, you need to have a tool that you have always on hand. And I always say to people, the first shift in your wellness, before you start a physical practice, before you start a diet, is what you have on hand is your breath. You can achieve a lot of different physical and mind benefits through just changing your breath. And the truth is, because we've never learned really properly, at least in the West, how to use the breath, we end up exaggerating our stress level, exaggerating our dysfunctions in the body because of the breath. While in the East, when it comes to in the yoga scope or even in martial arts, in a lot of different traditions, whether it is spiritual or physical, they use the breath as well. But they have been attuned to this for a very long time. So this is where for us, we say, okay, maybe it's from yoga. No, we only use it for athletes or for police. Yeah, because we don't know, but at the end of the day, if you are attuned and if you are educated about it, it's the most simple and easy tool to have on hand in any situation. Whether you want to warm up before physical practice, whether you want to improve your digestion, whether you want to calm down anxiety and stress, whether you want to improve your endurance, everything is one breath away.
Yeah, I used to train martial arts, different types, kung fu, a little bit of MMA, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and each of them has breathing as like the most important thing.
Of course.
Once just because so you conserve your energy, but also to handle, when I was training self-defense, to handle the stress situation of potential attack, because I've been in the past in situations when you are attacked in the street and your body, your mind can completely shut off if you don't know how to control yourself.
Yeah.
And it really starts with the breathing. Yeah, also, as you said, like, I've been meditating for years, but even now, until this day, if something very stressful happens to me, if I cannot just sit down and meditate, like, it's such a bullshit. You cannot just sit down and, okay, just be calm. No, it doesn't work like that.
When you're very agitated, I struggle with meditation so much for so many years. And especially when I was in Thailand, because this is the first thing that this monk wanted me to do. In the morning, we used to drive with his scooter to go up to the mountains. And he would put me on the mountain and he would just leave me there. And I didn't know at that moment what to do. And I didn't do yoga, so I couldn't sit.
Yeah.
So body pain, thoughts, everything would come. After 5 minutes, I would be very agitated. Meditation would agitate me more than anything else. And I really struggled for a long time. And I started, I think, a proper meditation journey 2 years ago. Even though I've been trying for years. But when I really, really deep dived into the breath and into my practice of meditation, linking it to the breath, this is when I started to be able to be still. This is when I started to also combine, of course, with yoga, because originally my knees were here, so of course
that's still me until now.
I'm much more okay to sit for a longer time, but mainly now, and this is where, as you said, it's bullshit a bit, because everybody thinks that meditation is about not thinking and being still, and it's not really. It's about learning how to stop and to observe everything that is happening to you, any discomfort, whether it is physical or in the mind, and to use techniques to always bring you back in presence when you become agitated in the mind or in the body. So let's say now I'm starting to have my knees in pain. Okay, I get that in my meditation. Okay, I'm starting to get my knees in pain. Focus back on your breath and count the breath. The breath has been my to-go tool to ground me back to presence and to help slowly to understand, oh wow, now it's been 5 seconds, I'm not thinking. But if I didn't have the breath, I don't think I would have been able to even understand, it's not about not thinking, it's about observing the thoughts. It's not about, because the job of the mind is to think anyway, you're always going to think. But to redirect, like you redirect a kid when he wants a sweet and you give him something else, it's to divert the mind to go back to something again. And the breath is the best tool. Counting, observing the movement of the breath, the movement of the body, breathing. This, if I didn't have this, I don't think I would have cracked meditation. And I mean, it's a never-ending journey anyway, but at least it's a good help to stay a bit more still and quiet for a prolonged time.
Yeah, that's great even for people who don't want to meditate, because there are people who refuse that, that's fine. But just like doing these breathing exercises can change your life, right?
And that's when holotropic breathwork comes into place as well, because again, for a lot of people, this is not accessible, whether on a physical way, because most of the people, they would say, it's fine to meditate laying down. let's be honest, we all fall asleep when we lay down.
Yeah.
So
It's a nice nap.
And that's the whole point, is not to fall asleep. It's not easy to stay seated without pain. So holotropic breathwork, or call it shamanic or Wim Hof breathwork, it's all the same technique, hyperventilation. They are used as a shortcut to enter a meditative state and to really use to feel for seconds or minutes this pure awareness and presence from an activated breath and an active state, to bring you into presence back and to tap into subconscious thoughts and subconscious mind. And that's very powerful from the minute and again, this is Wim Hof, call it Wim Hof, he put his name on it, very good. He put a pattern of 3 rounds and holotropic, and then you do a breath hold and get it backed up with science. And I think we are all grateful for this, because in the end, he made it accessible to everyone. But shamans in Latin America, Russians have been using the breath for a very long time, and holotropic come from a couple that used to practice breath work to analyze and to go a bit deeper into depression and people with mental illness. So it's been used for a very long time as well, to transcend this meditative state through an active breathing and an active state and an hyperventilating state that will help you to go a bit deeper than your conscious thinking, a bit deeper into your body awareness, and that for maybe a few seconds or few minutes help you to be completely at peace. So yes, many different breathing techniques for many different scopes. But in the end, beautiful tool to use regardless of the intensity, but to tackle different things and to help with meditation, whether it's from an active or a passive perspective.
Yeah, like since we are talking still about breathing, so I met you when I was shooting Neha's yoga teacher training, and you had a part of it. You were teaching the teachers how to facilitate breath work and ice baths.
Yeah.
And while you were doing it, you were talking about taping your mouth.
Yes.
And you gave us these little tapes, like just like a
Did you try?
Of them, and I tried, and I actually bought from the link you sent from Amazon. I bought them, and I've been using them for like 2 months. Since then, I've been using them every night.
Good.
And I've actually see improvement, because you said I can potentially see improvement when I do my running and stuff.
Yes.
And my heart rate lowered, and I can actually run longer only by breathing with my nose. My sleep improved, for sure. I can see the improvement. And it's just by taping my mouth with like a little tape. And it's, that's incredible to me.
It's, and I know you're a yoga teacher too, so I know you're already attuned to the benefits of nose breathing. But this is coming from the athletes and from Patrick McKeown, Oxygen Advantage, the one we were talking before. Patrick McKeown was an asthmatic kid for a very, very long time. And even he has demonstrated for 15 years now how mouth breathing can be really impactful on your sleep, on your stress, on the way that your face is also designed. A lot of kids, and that's why they use mouth tape now, also for kids, because for kids who start to have teeth problem and to have the upper jaw coming forward, usually it's a sign of early mouth breathing. So he has developed this entire technique about and this entire benefits of nose breathing and mouth taping at night. Why do we have to mouth tape at night, even if we are conscious already in the day that we need to breathe through the nose? Because at night you're not conscious. Yeah. You're sleeping. So you can't really reprogram yourself consciously at night if you have been a mouth breather for 10 or 15 years, if you have grinding problems, if you have dry mouth in the morning, if you know, usually from your friends taking pictures of you when you're sleeping, if your mouth is open. And if you snore as well, for men and women, because there's a lot of women that snores as well. And if you just sleep and wake up still very tired. So what he has done and proven now is how mouse taping, and it doesn't have to be a full thing. For the kids, for example, it just circle the mouse just to not overwhelm them and to make them scared. Otherwise, I've been using standard tape that I buy at the pharmacy for a very long time until they actually designed this Mayo tape and this cross.
Like an X,
yeah. This is quite aesthetic and this is quite nice. But before I used to use strap. But it's incredible to see if you do have sleeping problems, or if you are in. I've trained people who do marathons or Ironmans and Superman challenge. A big part of my clientele is from a triathlon club in Dubai, and the owner was actually doing Ironman since and races since he's 8 years old. And when I sat down with him with the breath and with mouse taping, it was 2 weeks before his big race, where he would complete 35 kilometers swim.
35 kilometers swim.
100 kilometers run, so 2.5 marathon, and 7 times up and down Jebel Jais in Ras Al Khaimah, and all of this in 3 days.
No way.
And 2 weeks before, I cannot change anything to your regular training, and he's been doing this for years, so he did it very successfully. But the only thing I told him 2 weeks before, we did few exercises of the breath, of course, was to give him this tape as well. And during his race, he used them the full week before. He slept with them only. And he was telling me, like, during these 3 days, I would sleep only 4 to 5 hours. And like, this tape has really helped me, because this 4 to 5 hours was as if I slept a full night. Because he was a mouth breather. So for him, it made a big change. Now, if you're already a nose breather, you might not see how much you can benefit from this. But if you are a mouth breather and you have any of these symptoms, asthma, because asthma is, yes, genetic, yes, coming from childhood, but it is very highly induced by mouth breathing as well. So all of these patterns shows you that you're a mouth breather. If you tape yourself at night, you will see huge difference, not only in the sport performance, because yes, it will help to improve your endurance, but also in the quality of your living in general, improving your sleep, improving your level of stress, and again, like we said, the breath is the first shift in your wellness. But same, if you don't have a proper sleep, you don't have proper energy, you're going to be more tired, you're going to be more hungry, you're going to be more sensitive. The sleep is extremely important. So to tackle this as well is extremely strategic, whether it is to manage emotions or your well-being in general, or to improve sport performance, energy boost, energy levels, and improve overall your endurance. Then after that, now if you're running a lot, then there is a lot of techniques through breath holds and nose breathing during high intensity training that can push you even further into the performance of your endurance. But mouse taping is the first thing.
It's great. I recommend to everyone. It costs like few dirhams.
15 dirhams for a box of 100. Yeah. And just need to make sure to prevent your partners that you might look funny at night. And the first time, usually people are a bit scared, especially if they are mouth breather, because most of the people who breathe through their mouth will tell you, I cannot, because I'm not going to breathe through my nose. My nose is always blocked. But it's a circle. So what I like to do, and if you are in this situation, tape your mouth for a few hours first during the day when you're conscious. So you see already the improvement and how your nose actually naturally unlock and unblock by forcing yourself to breathe through the nose. And then once you're confident that you're not going to die at night with the mouse tape, then take it to your sleep, and yes, you will really see improvements. And if for kids, make sure to buy proper myotape for kids. Happy to recommend your website as well for
yeah, for sure. I mean, the tape is still not strong enough. If you forcefully open your mouth, you will.
Yes.
And plus, you can still breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can understand in the beginning, I was also like, I taped it. I was like, am I gonna
suffocate? Or but no, usually you end up losing it at some point, maybe in the night.
It happened to me a few times. Yeah. But most of the time, it stays.
The strap, you don't lose it, for sure. But
strap? I haven't seen the strap. That sounds scary.
The one you use for the sprain. It was a handmade tool.
So what's the reason behind it? What's such a major difference between nose and mouth breathing? Can you explain why is it?
Because there is so many books now and a lot of research that have been proving the way how during the past centuries we have completely alienated our breath and we are all becoming mouth breather. Mm-hmm. There's an excellent book called Breathe from James Nestor that explains.
Yeah, I have the book. I still haven't read it though.
Oh, you should. It's amazing because this book is a journalist that made a research. So it doesn't come from the athletes industry, yoga industry, or anything.
I read his previous book called Deep, and he was doing research about freediving.
Yeah, and I think that's how it got him deep diving into the topic of the breath. Mm-hmm. But basically, he made a lot of research to understand what's the most optimal way to breathe and how come are we not breathing well enough. And he was saying that, of course, geographically speaking, it's different things, but generally speaking, from the way our skull is designed right now, we have all become predominantly mouth breather. Mm-hmm. But essentially, breathing from your mouth, you should only speak and eat, and from your nose, you should only breathe and smell. Mm-hmm. From that statement, he started to make a lot of research to understand how our skull was much wider in terms of the airways before, our mouth was bigger, and how within centuries we have become very much, there is a lot of people who have teeth lacking in the mouth. I'm such a person. I have 6 teeth missing in my mouth.
Like they never grew?
Never would come back, and I'm not alone. I've discovered that.
Oh, you said that it's slowly.
And you remember during the training, 4 girls out of 12 said, yeah, me too. Well, I used to think that I was alone when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So I had a massive construction site in my mouth all when I was a kid because I had 6 teeth. I don't have the meat teeth. Mm-hmm. And I had massive space in my mouth, and my jaw is much smaller in general. Mm-hmm. And that's me, but that's a lot of people. And in general, James Nestor have looked into this and understood that from the way our skull was before and now, we have a much smaller jaw, much more smaller face in general than before. That constrict everything and any biological, natural way of breathing. Mm-hmm. And that's why we became more mouth breather to have more air in. But usually before people would have bigger nose than now and bigger airways. And that's why they would predominantly and naturally breathe through the nose. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that in Africa, for example, they do have still quite wide nose, mm-hmm. and they still tend to breathe more from their nose as well. So there is this correlation to make as well here from the way our skull and our face are shaped now that doesn't support our breathing patterns, and that make us grasp and try to grasp more air by breathing through the mouth.
Can this be correlated with them being the best endurance athletes as well?
Yeah, maybe. I haven't. Maybe, most probably. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I haven't deep dive into this, but that's mm-hmm. a good topic of research. Yeah. Yeah, that's very nice actually. Very interesting to see that. But in now, that's from, let's say, a skull perspective and the way how we are shaped as now new generation of human. But second and third, which is very generational, like it comes from our generation. If you look at it 150 years ago, we didn't talk about stress. Mm-hmm. There was no notion of stress. What is stress in general? If you start to run on a physical way, you are stressed because you start running, your body is in a stress situation, so your heart rate increase. Your body is physically trying to adjust to the fact that you're running, and that's a positive stress. Mm-hmm. Now, for the past centuries, we are talking about negative stress, whatever brings you out of homeostasis, as we call it, equilibrium, both emotionally and physically. We associate stress with emotions, with overloads of work, overloads. It's mainly an overthinking problem and an exhaustion problem. Mm-hmm. Now, stress, when you are exhausted, when you are in a very highly emotional pattern or state, you will tend to breathe more from your mouth anyway, and to breathe shallow. You will always be in the part of your nervous system that we call sympathetic, that is constantly in fight or flight mode. Mm-hmm. And the way we breathe when we are not really attuned to how the breath work is, you will think, oh, I'm suffocating right now, I need more air. Mm-hmm. So we will try to grasp more air and try to grasp more air through the mouth. The problem is you would inhale and be conscious about your inhalation, but you don't know what happens after. While we said it at the very beginning together, is the entire part of relaxing and of optimizing your breath is your exhalation, mm-hmm. is your nose, your exhalation, and the breath hold. Very, very rarely we will talk about the way you inhale, except that you need to do it from the nose. Mm-hmm. So if you only think about inhaling and you breathe from your mouth, you constantly stay in the sympathetic and in a shallow breath. So you constantly stay in stress mode. Now, if you breathe through the nose, the first thing is, on a physiological basis, you create nitric oxide. It's a gas that you don't create when you breathe through your mouth. So the air that comes into your nose becomes warmer because you have an action of getting it to body temperature through the nostrils and through the nose that you don't have through the mouth. Mm-hmm. The air you inhale from the mouth is colder, so you need to spend energy to bring it to body temperature. The air that comes through your nose is already warmer. It's already clean because you have hair in your nose, so you remove particles and the quality of the air coming in is already cleaner than from the mouth. Mm-hmm. Third, you create this nitric oxide that will relax your heart rate and will optimize the oxygen delivery to all your muscles and organs. So here, this is why you need to breathe through your nose on a physical and on a emotional basis, because you're optimizing all of your functions. You're slowing down your heart rate. You're having a better quality of air, and it's also temperature regulated. So mm-hmm. you spend less energy to process it. Now, the reason is that then we say exhalation over inhalation is because if you want to have a double action on this relaxation phase, you want to, as we said before, inhaling is sympathetic, exhaling is parasympathetic. So the longer you're going to exhale, the longer you're going to be more relaxed and optimize. Again, you cannot heal in a stressful environment. You cannot be healthy in a stressful environment. If you're constantly fighting your body and your nervous system, will never have time to actually be healthy. So if you're constantly inhaling and you don't think about exhaling, and you're constantly in mouth breathing, you're doing nothing that helps your body to calm down, relax, and optimize the functioning inside. Mm-hmm. So really, that's why we say breathe through your nose and exhale longer, because you're going to optimize physiologically on an emotional basis as well, relaxing the nervous system. And nervous system is the electricity in your body. If this is activated constantly, your sleep will be affected, your digestion, your energy levels, your emotions, everything, you're constantly going to be tensed. So it makes sense to understand that. And this is what also in this book, James Nestor, but not only in yoga, in a lot of different traditions, culture, practices, whatever you want to call it, they will tell you to exhale longer or to breathe through your nose.
Yeah.
And when it comes to optimizing your sport performance and endurance, Patrick McKeown and Oxygen Advantage say the same thing. If you want to increase your ability to run longer and faster, you don't always have to only do fraction training. You know, this is how people prepare for marathon usually or big run. When they want to improve their endurance, most of the time they would do fraction training. They would run at a very high speed for 1 minute, take 20 or 30 seconds rest, and repeat and do repetitions of this and constantly increase this performance. Another way is also that can be combined with this kind of training is fraction breathing training. Start running with holding your breath. Start running with less oxygen, because you're pushing your body into its resources to get better management of carbon dioxide in the body, and then you're able to be more performant.
I have to try that. You were talking about it before as well, but I haven't tried. But this is something.
Yeah, if you're doing, and you don't have to be like a marathon runner. A lot of and running has become also extremely easy as a physical practice and practiced by a lot of people. So it does make sense, because how many of us start running and after 5 minutes we have this lactic acid coming in and you just want to stop already and you're done. So if you just want to start this on a physical journey, it's a good way to understand how to calibrate your breath as well for your runs, whether it is for leisure and on weekends, or if you're preparing for 5K, 10K, 20K run. It's also...
That's what I'm doing now. In February, I'm going to do half marathon first time.
Ah, nice.
So I'm slowly preparing, and I might try.
Who told me?
In Ras Al Khaimah.
But it's in 2 weeks, no?
No, there is one in Dubai. It's like the big marathon, like proper marathon, and I think they have half as well. But then 18 February, there is one in Ras Al Khaimah as well. Just half marathon.
And it's uphill or it's...
No, this one is like the fastest in the world, so it's just pure flat. That's good for me, because it's first one.
But if then definitely that kind of training can help you.
Yeah.
You can also practice from your couch with just practicing breath hold, the same way as freediver do.
Yeah, I used to do that when I learned freediving, and then of course I stopped, but
it's the same.
It's a good motivation.
Same kind of training, belly breathing, holding your breath in one breath. And that's what's different from Wim Hof, for example. And that's why people need to also understand how Wim Hof, has bring a lot of light to breathing and into the benefits of hyperventilation, and how people are always extremely surprised to hold their breath and be able to hold their breath for 2-3 minutes in a row. Yes, that's good, and it has its own scientific benefits and everything. Nonetheless, if you go into the freedivers and athletes, how they train breath hold, it's a different technique, because Wim Hof use an hyperventilating state for 45 to 60 breaths, average 2 to 3 minutes of hyperventilation before you hold your breath. At that moment, because your body has a lot of carbon dioxide in the body anyway, you don't have the trigger to breathe as quickly as if I'm asking you to hold your breath right now from one breath only. So you are able to prolong the breath hold. While on the opposite side, freedivers, athletes, when they really want to improve performance running, you cannot do this. First of all, for many different reasons, but they would not practice this. They would practice diaphragmatic breathing, so relaxing breathing technique before, to make sure that you're extremely relaxed, and then in one full breath they would hold. And that's if you are looking into improving sport performance, if you are looking to really in everyday breath improve your breathing, that's what you should practice, not Wim Hof. Wim Hof is very similar to shamanic and holotropic. It's more like a spiritual breathwork, as I would say, to enter deep state of consciousness and to trigger different feelings in the body and the mind with a shortcut. but it's not what's going to help you to improve your breathing pattern on an everyday living.
Yeah, I've been told the same in my freediving training, that this kind of breathing would be actually dangerous for freedivers.
Yes.
They do it in competitions, but some of them, but it could be dangerous for someone just hyperventilate and then go down, because you have higher chance to pass out.
Yeah. It's very, because you don't feel the trigger to breathe anymore, so you don't listen to your sensors anymore.
So you can just be shut down. Yeah, it was all about just being as calm as possible, relaxed and slow breathing. So then, so you said like nose is like a filter, I think we all know that. So if you do lots of mouth breathing, you think people can get also more sick because they...
Yes, definitely. More sick, more...
Because you can inhale viruses kind of directly into your throat, or...
I mean, for this, I would say, I don't think you inhale viruses. I mean, there are a lot of viruses, you can get them through the touch, through, of course, yes. But I think that generally speaking, you are strengthening your immunity by optimizing your breath. Because if you optimize your sleep, your breath, and your foods, you become in general stronger, so less prone to get some viruses.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about immunity as well, I would say ice bath then comes into the place. That's where it's a very healthy practice to do, because you're again pushing your body into a shock or cold showers. You take a cold shower every day, you're shocking your nervous system every day, you're pushing the body to create more white blood cells, and these white blood cells are the ones that fight viruses, illnesses, and everything. So if you're really looking into strengthening your immunity, I wouldn't say that mouth breathing really would increase this, but definitely is not optimal on a physiological basis. Nose breathing will make sure that you're using less energy, you're less tired, so less prone to catch viruses, of course. And then if you really want to have the strengthening action on your immunity system, I would advise to take cold shower, because this has been proven scientifically for years that people who take cold showers every day or plunge into ice water on a regular basis, they have a stronger immunity. And the way to measure it is to measure the level of white blood cells, because in your blood, the cells that fight disease and makes you stronger are the white blood cells.
Yeah. Can we just talk first about how not to do this, how not to have ice bath or cold showers? Because there are people who tried once, maybe they overdo it and they get sick.
Yeah.
They get cold or flu and they say, I just get sick from cold water, so I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there is the right way to do it.
Well, to be honest, yes, there is a right way. It's something that has been used for a lot of years by, again, athletes, as used footballers and fighters, and even going back to gladiators, how they used to use the cold water for an anti-inflammatory to release and to really push the recovery so that you can go back to your workout, go back to more intensively and recover faster. That's not new. The cold shower, I don't think there is too much danger, and there is no real danger in taking cold shower every day. However, the ice bath and the cold shower are not only a physical practice. Like everything else in your life, you need to have the right intention and to understand exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and especially if it is an ice bath. I have seen so many people coming to me as well saying, I've done ice bath before. Okay, how long did you stay? I stayed 45 seconds. That's not an ice bath. Or people say, no, it's okay, I want to do an ice bath. Can I stay 10 or 15 minutes, please? Why only 3 minutes? Even from Wim Hof, who has put a lot of lights on this practice for the past 10 years and have highlighted the benefits not only in the body but also in the mind, strengthening the immunity, ability to face challenge, improve your self-confidence and everything. So all of the mental benefits of the ice bath. As you said, it can be traumatizing as well because it's a shock. You're going into 0 degree water. So if you're doing a proper ice bath. So people who stay only 45 seconds, why? Is because everybody that comes into such a low temperature water would go into a survival mode for the first minute, where it's going to be a high stress for the body and for the mind. All right? So for the first 45 seconds, what's going to happen is the same as when you start running. Your heart rate will increase. You're into a deep physical stress right now because you're plunging your body that is 37.5 degrees into 0 degree water. So your heart rate will increase. Your entire body and nervous system will be in panic mode and into survival stage. If you're not attuned to what's going to happen, you're going to get scared. So scenario 1, you come out within 30-45 seconds because you just don't like what's happening to you. Scenario 2, you get very scared, you come out as well. And that's everything we need to avoid, because at that moment, during this 45 seconds, what you're doing is adding a lot of stress to your body and to your mind. So if you're coming to do an ice bath for recovery of your muscles, but you didn't get any recovery, and on top of this, you have added a high level of stress in your body. So why do we say 3 minutes and not 10 and not 1? Because the first minute, your nervous system gets in shock and has a very high intensity, increasing all functions in your body to be into survival stage. When you're doing this with a facilitator that is qualified and trained, this person will make sure that this minute is safe for you. Meaning that they will give you some tips, and the first tip I tell my clients is first close your mouth. We talked for the past hour about how breathing through the nose helps you to relax and to calm down anxiety and panic and every overwhelming state. First, breathe through your nose. That's what I say to people. Second, stay extremely focused. Don't engage with the stress that is coming into your mind. And why? Because the mind will tell you, I don't want to be here. This is too much for me. And the more you engage with what's happening in your mind, the more you can get a trauma from it. So it's like somebody so you don't want to go to that stage, because the more you're going to identify with your thoughts, the more you're going to increase the trauma response from your body and your mind. So the job of somebody who is facilitating this experience for you is to facilitate with you and to prepare you for this first minute. That's the entire thing we do. Because the second minute, when you've been managing this first intense minute, the second minute, your heart rate starts to slow down. You can control your breathing better. You start to surrender to the practice, to relax the muscles so they can get the recovery, so the body can get relaxed. You can be completely safe in a 3-minute plunge for most of the people. And the third minute, usually we say the magic happens. This is when usually people open their eyes and smile. If you don't manage well this first minute, you increase the chance of trauma and stress in both the body and the mind. So yes, of course, if you want to do ice bath, whether it is to improve your recovery because you're a sports person, whether it is to understand how to manage shock, emotions and stress in a better manner, do it first with somebody that is qualified to help you, to prepare you, tell you exactly what's going to happen during these 3 minutes. Why we do 3 minutes? People who are doing, because now, as you said, in Dubai, it's very famous, very trendy. A lot of people do it everywhere without proper qualifications. And that became something quite trendy. But in the end, there is not a lot of safe space to really go deep into the practice, to first improve the practice, because it's not only one ice bath that will change your life. It has to be included into your routine, like you include a healthier diet or a physical practice. You don't go once in a while to the gym. You don't eat once in a while in a healthy manner. If you want really the full scope of benefits of the ice bath practice and the cold shower, it has to be consistent and it has to be on a regular basis. And this, if you stay the first time or second time, or you've done it couples of times in a leisure way and you want to stay 10 minutes, yes, you can do it. It's fine. But what's going to happen after? Everyone would fall into a mild hypothermia stage within 6 to 8 minutes. Everybody unless you have a higher amount of fat than the average person, you would feel the cold and your body will start reducing its own temperature within 6 minutes. What does it mean? It means that when you're going to get out of your ice bath or inside, you're going to start shaking. Okay? And stage number 2, you're going to start shaking, not being able to get back to a warm state within half an hour. And maybe you even have troubles to speak properly without shaking. That's hypothermia. And nobody takes it seriously, but this is serious. And this is removing the entire benefits of your ice bath. And people don't understand this. They just want to do a score. They just want to have it's just an ego thing, but I don't think people are even conscious about the fact that it's ego. It's just that they are not told that it's not healthy and that they are not doing a proper ice bath. Wim Hof tells you himself, the Iceman, the guru, is telling you it's a gradual exposure to cold. And that means that you need to get your body gradually into this kind of temperature without shaking. If you want to master an ice bath, you cannot shake. The minute your body starts shaking inside the ice or outside the ice, it means you push too much. Not only it means you push too much, it also means that if you did it for the muscle recovery, what's happening when you're shaking? You're tensing the muscles again. So bye-bye recovery. You've erased entirely the entire benefits on a physical way. It means what? That your blood circulation is not optimal and you're going to have pain maybe in the extremities, numbing fingers, numbing feet. That means you stay too long. And if you don't listen to this, you can post as many pictures as you want. You can tell me how many times you want that you want to stay 10 minutes and you're fine. I'm not going to let you stay. If I see one sign and the first time, even though you've done 10 minutes with somebody else, I will always do 3 minutes and a half, not more. Why? Because I want to see how you react inside and how you react outside. The minute you tell me the next day I was fine, I didn't shake, and I went back to my normal life, and I could be in an AC place without shaking, then okay, come back. Then I'll let you stay longer, and we are going to increase gradually.
Yeah.
But and again, there is no need. I've read a study again the other day. One of my client is a dentist, and he's a lot into this kind of research and everything. And he sent me a research that has been done on swimmers in ice water that became very trendy recently. And they made a lot of parallels in the ice bath plunger during the studies. They tell you black on white that there is no benefits of staying more than 5 to 6 minutes inside cold water to have all of the benefits of the practice. Then if you are conscious about this and you still want to push, this is ego. Because now you're aware, now you know. And now you understand that, okay, you want to prepare the world record, you want your name to be the Iceman, you want to... And again, like, I don't, when I do my own practice, I don't tell people, oh, I'm staying 15, 20, 25 minutes. I don't care about showing off about this. Because for me, this is not a sign of performance. This is not a sign of... understanding the practice. This is the opposite. You want to really create a safe space for your clients. You want to create a safe space for yourself, and you want to do an ice bath every day without trauma, with optimizing everything, optimizing your recovery and optimizing your entire practice. A very healthy spot when you're doing it for a long time in a regular way is maximum 8 to 10 minutes. Maximum. I barely stay more than 8 to 10 minutes. Not because I cannot, and I don't care if people tell me, but she only stay 8 to 10. Yeah, I don't care. For me, this is not what makes me not a good facilitator. I have stayed very, very long time. What happened to me after was hypothermia for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. I couldn't speak properly. You want me to tell you I can stay 1 hour in an ice bath? I would tell you, but no, I'm going to tell you I did it wrong. Because I was focused on, let me do like what everybody's doing, and I don't care, and I rather care about preparing people to understand what it is, preparing people to come twice a week, and to push and to unload the cup of stress, to face this first minute, because this first minute is always going to be a bit of a challenge. Whether you're tired, whether you're emotional, whether you're stressed that day, your ice bath will always be different anyway. So don't try to just make it different just by adding 3-4 minutes, staying 20 minutes. There is no point except your fight against your own self, your fight against Instagram people, and your ego wanted to tell you, oh, I can stay 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean, everybody can, but can you not shake after?
Yeah.
Can you stay warm? Are you okay after to speak? Do you feel your extremities? So many people, no, I couldn't feel my extremities for 3 weeks. Yeah,
Shit. Oh.
that's okay. It's gonna come back, but this means you went too far. And usually a lot of people who like to be borderline a bit, they like to test until something like this happens. And then they would come back and they say, okay, today I only do 4 minutes. Because they understand. And I needed, I guess, to go through that process.
Yeah.
Because at some point I was a bit in the same mentality, I guess. And it's okay. Again, it's okay. It's just...
You learned your lesson.
The mastering of the ice bath practice is not about mastering the time. It's about both time and body and mind after and during the plunge. Staying calm for the first minute and focused, using it as a meditation practice as well, staying very present, because the minute you lose presence, your nervous system will take over, makes you shake and will take over in physiologically and on the mind. And that's when you increase the risk of hypothermia and trauma. I had people who actually, and again, that's not a practice that is here for everyone. A lot of people enjoy, if you are an athlete, if you're somebody that reacts quite well to challenges and would like to be pushed, giving a goal, and was sensitive to adrenaline rushes and stuff, definitely ice bath will help you and will be a beneficial practice and tool for yourself. If you're somebody that on the opposite side really doesn't deal well with pressure, doesn't deal well with who is really in a very stressful phase of your life, that you are really struggling to manage your emotion at that moment and your body, and you're simply not in charge, because we all have that kind of moments in life, maybe ice bath can have more traumatizing effects than a beneficial effect. So got to understand your why into doing this. I got to understand your own self into doing this, and if it's something for you. Some people are much more comfortable to go on a yoga mat and do some breathing, some relaxing yoga practice and everything. Some people, and sometimes mostly men, or at least athletes or people who are really reactive to this kind of challenges, would be much more comfortable to do an ice bath than sitting on a mat and doing a yoga practice. So again, find your tool, but don't push it if you see that it's not there. And sometimes when I see that people have a very, very strong reaction, I don't try to push. There is no aim to try to pull your shoulders down and let you stay in the ice. It's not providing a safe space. You got to understand that everybody is different and manage stress differently. Yes, there is a healthy part of pushing your comfort zone, pushing your boundaries, and pushing your stress level and the ability you have to cope with stress. And there is a part where no, you are not in a physical and in a mind state, and that's not advisable for pregnancy, of course. You cannot put such a high stress if you're pregnant, as well as if you have very strong heart rate conditions, because we said it before, your heart rate is going to massively increase, and you're taking risk again to aggravate this state. So no, yes, 90% of the people could practice an ice bath safely, but again, you got to have an intention and do it in a safe space with a qualified practitioner, and don't try to over push it just for the sake of a score. Understand really what's happening and why you're doing it, because 3 to 5 minutes is exactly and all what you need to get muscle recovery. For the mind is this first minute that is most important. Going up, calming down, taking over the control of your nervous system, that's all you need. And the muscle recovery is 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. You don't need more. On a physical and mindful basis, you don't need more. Now, you want to gradually increase? Yes, okay. You want to gradually increase to 5, 6, 7 minutes? Okay. You want to push and stay shaking and just say that you've stayed 10 because your friend stayed 10? Not okay.
I still need to try this. I still haven't.
Yes, you must welcome. We can do the next podcast in the ice if you want.
Yeah, I have quite bad relationship with, I think that's just my belief, with cold. And even if I go just to the sea now, when it's a little bit cooler, I shake and I have issues with talking, and that's like, 20 degrees. So,
yeah, so come.
Yeah, I have to try.
Come, but it's, listen, everybody's telling me this. I have issues with the cold. And you know what is very, very funny? That Russian people tells me that a lot.
Yeah, I'm from Slovakia, from the part where in the winter we had like minus 25.
But you're usually the people
why.
the most reluctant to the cold.
Yeah,
and it's very surprising to me. But nobody likes the cold except penguins. But no human being likes to be pushed into 0 degree water. Whether you decide to put more attention to it and to say, I am like this, we are all like this. But this is the whole point, and usually for people like this is where it could be the most life-changing as well, because we're going to break a belief that you are able to, and yes, nobody likes it, everybody is potential. For me, it used to be impossible to take a cold shower. I'm a 40 degrees shower lady from before, and now, I mean, yeah, you have to break this belief, and that the entire mindful practice of the ice bath is also to break these barriers of I am like this and I am not able to, or I cannot do.
I think this is what I want to achieve with that. Exactly.
My tagline for everybody in the ice is, before they come in, is to say I can and I will, and then you go out and say I can, I will, and I did.
Nice.
It's and that's for everything in life, because we reluctant to do most of the things because of fear, most of the times, not because we are not able to. It's because of this belief in our head that we are scared about something, or we assume we are in a certain way that is not going to be proper for what we're trying to achieve. So we rather say I cannot, or I'm not like this, or I'm not enough, or self limited belief, you know.
Yeah, we all have that. I think we're gonna wrap it up. I got so much from you, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm gonna just ask you a few questions.
Yes.
So one very personal question: are you cancer free now?
Yes. I did my. I have to do test every 6 months, and my last one was in November. You know, I've lived for the past 6 years without medical insurance in Dubai. Don't say it.
I'm in the club as well, so.
But I just took one this year, and then I did my full checkup. And yes, I'm still checking myself on a regular basis. But I decided to not even take a medical insurance for a few years.
Wow.
Now I have.
Like intentionally.
Yeah. And also financially, but both.
Yeah.
Just not to bring myself into this mindset of I'm sick, or I can be sick, or let me go and check myself. Oh. I've been confident to switch so many things in my life to be more healthy that yes, I thought like I'll do my checkup when I go back to France. I do blood test and I see how it is. And last year and this year were very good.
Wow. Incredible. Last question: how would you like to be remembered?
When I die, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I can have had an impact on people's life, to remember maybe just one thing, to feel better every day, I think that's all we need, you know, most of the time, regardless of how many books we read, how many friends we have, how many things. It's just at some point to just have got something from somebody else that helps you to, because we are still human beings, we need this sense of community, we need this sense of belonging, and we don't know it all. If you think you know it all, I mean, there's a famous quote about this, but if I can at some point provide any kind of support to somebody in their physical or in their mindful journey and help them to live better, I've served my purpose.
Oh, that's beautiful. So how can people find you? Where can they find you?
They can find me in the eyes. They can find me everywhere. Instagram mainly, with my name and my last name. I do regular classes at Matcha when it comes to ice and Wim Hof workshop. I held ice bath 3 to 4 days a week in a physiotherapy center. Breathwork on the beach and in the Theater of Digital Art in Madina Jumeirah on a regular basis. I do retreats, corporate wellness. So anybody who is eager to join any of these activities or workshops can check my Instagram page, and I post my schedule on a regular basis.
You can say your Instagram page, so it's just
Elisabeth with the S _ Bohler, Bohler.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Elisabeth.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was a very nice conversation.
Thank you. Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And that's it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please share it with anyone who can benefit from it. Feel free to tag me at Matt Bendick, tag the podcast at the Make a Move podcast, and tag Elisabeth at Elisabeth_Bohler on Instagram. And I'll see all of you in the next episode.
Oh, yeah.